台比英國奶奶. Okay, so today's topic, I'm going to be talking about how expensive Taiwan is. And you might be thinking, what? Taiwan's so cheap. Some areas that totally shocked me at how expensive they were. And I had the image of everything in Taiwan being cheap because the street food is cheap, the MRT is cheap. But there were some things that I thought, wow, that is a lot more expensive than England. And I always hear people say to me, oh, we don't want to go to England, it's too expensive. But there are actually a lot of things in England that are a lot cheaper than in Taiwan. First thing is houses. I was totally blown away at how expensive Taiwanese houses are. And also for the size of them, it's crazy. So in England, literally everybody's house will have a garden. But in Taiwan, majority of houses are all apartment buildings. Of course in London the house prices are quite extortionate, but if we go outside of London, like my hometown or maybe up north a bit, the prices are so much cheaper than in Taiwan, like so much cheaper. To the point of me thinking, shall I buy a house in England and not Taiwan? For the CP 值, as you would say in Chinese, I would say England is better for houses. The second thing that I thought was crazy expensive was flowers. So if you want to just sometimes, I like to buy my friends flowers. If it's their birthday or I haven't seen them for a long time, I want to give them a small gift, I like to buy flowers. It's something I'm used to doing back in England. So in England, you can pick up flowers from a supermarket for maybe £3, £5 to £10, you know, not expensive. And I remember my husband bought me flowers all the time in England. And then when I got to Taiwan, it kind of stopped. And I remember saying to him, I'm not complaining or anything, but you don't buy me flowers anymore. And he was like, well, they're so expensive. Third one is shoes. I find shoes really expensive in Taiwan. If you want good quality shoes, I know you can get some on the night market, $200, $300, but the ones I had before maybe only last me a few months and they're broken. So if you go to get a good quality pair of shoes that want to last you for work or something, so I tend to just wait to go back to England and buy them from Clark's in England or somewhere else in England. Because I found, I just saw the price is so different. The fourth one is maybe supermarkets. I don't know, in England there seems to be a lot more deals and things in supermarkets, buy one get one freeze, and just generally I find supermarket shopping a lot cheaper in England. To Taiwan and buy a few things for me to cook by myself with, I end up spending quite a lot of money, and I thought, wow, that's a little bit more than I expected to spend just for one meal. Yeah, there are cheaper things in Taiwanese supermarkets, but generally I find them a lot more expensive than in England. Girls' beauty products. In England there's lots of deals. You can get like deodorant for £1, you can get like shampoos and things like that for £1, and it's good quality shampoo. In Taiwan I find shampoo quite expensive. I don't want to buy the really cheap stuff because it just ruins your hair, but for a decent quality shampoo, it is quite pricey in Taiwan. So for beauty products, if I can, I just wait till I go back home and maybe buy them in bulk from England. Face masks though are a lot more cheaper in Taiwan and a lot better quality. But as a whole, I find my bill for beauty products as a woman in Taiwan to be a lot more expensive than it would if I went back to England to stock up on beauty things. The next thing is cars. I was just so shocked. I've spoke about this before in other videos, but when me and my husband were looking for a car, I just remember thinking, wow, they're all really pricey. I mean, in England we can get a lot of good second-hand cars for a really, really good price, and even new cars, a reasonable price that you can afford. In Taiwan I find, I guess it's because of the tax, that the cars are just expensive. For me, that was something that really, really shocked me, because I just assumed cars over here might be cheaper, but they're not. Okay, so let's go to what's more expensive in England and in Taiwan, because I don't want you to think I'm just sat here saying, well, Taiwan's so expensive. There are things in Taiwan that I think are really amazingly priced. For example, the transport. The transport in Taiwan is absolutely amazing. It's so cheap to get around, and I never think, oh my gosh, have I got enough money like to get around? Like in London, I will always be thinking, do I have enough money to get there? You know, in Taiwan I wouldn't have that feeling. Whereas I said before, to buy a house in Taiwan is really expensive. To rent a house in Taiwan is so cheap. Renting in England now is extortionate. So renting a house, actually sometimes it works out cheaper to buy a house in England than to rent. The rent prices are going higher and higher and higher, and I know some of my families have had to move out of houses because the rents have been put up and it's just too expensive. So sometimes I'm so shocked at how cheap rent is in Taiwan. and for the quality of the buildings, and also a lot of buildings have like swimming pools and gyms. To actually rent in Taiwan, it's great. And the next thing is eating out at restaurants. You can get like a 5-course meal for the price of like a 1-course meal in England. So I think that is great value. You can get good, lovely, nicely cooked food for such a reasonable price. So I love that about Taiwan. I think everyone loves that about Taiwan. In Taiwan, I find the fuel prices are very reasonable. If I want to fill up the car in Taiwan, I don't really think about how much it is because I just know it's a reasonable price. In England, you're thinking, shall I put a full tank in? Because its fuel prices are quite expensive today. And as I mentioned before in videos, general lifestyle, like leisure activities in Taiwan are a lot cheaper. So if you want to go see a movie or go for a massage, it's so much cheaper in Taiwan. So this video is just to say, I guess every country has its good and bad points. Not to say Taiwan is better or England is better, nothing like that. It's just to make people more aware of if you're a foreigner coming to Taiwan or if you want to go to England. Hopefully these points will help you a little bit if you're planning to move to Taiwan or you're planning to go to England. Just be more aware of what I found is more expensive and cheaper so you can prepare. People sometimes would also have misconceptions about everything's cheap in Taiwan and also everything's expensive in England. Also, I would love to hear from you too. Do you live abroad and what's expensive in that country? Or are you living in England at the moment and you think, wow, actually that's cheap, I wasn't expecting that, or that's expensive. Or you're a foreigner in Taiwan, what have you found that's different to your own country? And we can just learn more from each other, which I think is a great thing. So thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, feel free to subscribe, hit the little bell. So every time I have a new video, you can see it immediately. And if you fancy it, you can check out my Instagram. It's British Cut in Taiwan, 英国奶奶. Or you can check out my restaurant, Brit Shake, 英国奶奶. One's in Danshui, one's in Xinyi. Or you can check us out on www.britshake.com or on Shopee. So thank you so much again, everyone, and I really hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you next time. Bye bye.